Hip, hip, hooray for DNA. It provides the key to the plans for making everything in you and me.
Welcome to one of the past HSC exam question videos. While doing this video, I'll cover this exam question, which comes from the DNA to protein chapter. While doing the second, I'll read the actual question. Once I read the question, get about 5 seconds to pause the video. And once I pause the video, once you have paused the video, attempt the question and press play when you're ready. So the question itself says, the diagram shows various forms of radiation that are part of the electromagnetic spectrum. A. Select one form of radiation that is considered to be a mutagen, with 1 mark. B. Describe the evidence that supports the mutagenic nature of the selected forms of radiation. That's worth 2 marks. So when you're ready, pause the video. Well, here it says gamma rays, X-rays, ultraviolet rays, infrared, radar, FM, TV, shortwaves, AM, and this is just a visible light spectrum. But that's not too important. But when you're ready, pause the video and attempt the question. Welcome back. Alright, for the first one, it says select one form of radiation that is considered to be a mutagen. If you went and said TV or FM, you would be incorrect. These aren't really mutagen. You should have either gone for gamma ray, X-ray, or ultraviolet ray. These are the mutagens ones. And we have to just select one form. So we don't have to actually talk about it, just mention it. That's all you have to do to get your 1 mark. So what I wrote is, I chose gamma radiation. Right. But you could have also chosen X-rays or ultraviolet rays, and you would have also gotten your 1 mark. That's worth 1 mark. And for the B, describe the evidence that supports the mutagenic nature of the selected form of radiation. This is important. So if you select gamma radiation, you gotta talk about the evidence for gamma radiation. Don't talk about X-ray radiation or UV radiation if you just select the gamma radiation. That would get you minus marks. So in this case, because I took gamma radiation, which comes from nuclear decay, I chose Chernobyl, how the nuclear reactor exploded in Chernobyl, and also I talked about Hiroshima. And just talking about it will obviously not get your marks. Just saying, an incident happened in Hiroshima in 1945 or in Chernobyl in 1986, but you need to link the incident with higher rates of problems, so miscarriages, or high rates of cancer for people who are exposed to gamma radiation. That will get your marks. So what I wrote is, the nuclear reactor in Chernobyl exploded in 1986, and the rate of cancer and miscarriages is higher in the area close to the reactor than other parts of the country. So again, that's evidence that it's causing mutations, because people exposed to the actual gamma radiation had higher rates of cancer and miscarriages. That was the first one, that was Chernobyl, and then I talked about Hiroshima as well. An atomic bomb emitting gamma radiation was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. Residents who were not killed by the blast experienced high rates of miscarriages, cancer, and other radiation-related conditions. And I guess what I probably realize now that I should have also written is just that cancer and miscarriages are due to mutations in DNA. So I should have written that DNA mutations lead to miscarriages and cancer. That's also important. Because here I just said that there are high rates of cancer and miscarriages, but I haven't really linked those to mutations, which is what the actual question is asking. So how mutations lead to cancer, high rates of cancer and miscarriages? Because change in DNA thereby produces a different protein, and that results in problems. I should have written that as well. But yeah, I didn't. But you've gotten your marks. You probably would have still gotten 2 marks for this, even if you didn't write that. But I just like to make sure that I have all the things that I really needed to have it in there. But you should have still gotten 2 marks for just talking about this. But you should have mentioned, or I should have mentioned, that mutations result in higher rates of cancer and high rates of miscarriages. And thereby, having high rates of cancer and miscarriages is a link to high rates of mutagens which are our gamma radiation and X-rays and ultraviolet rays. If you chose X-rays, you could have used the example of how they used to use X-rays a lot, even for checking shoe sizes, and those people would have high rates of cancer. And for ultraviolet light, you could have chosen the example of the ozone, and how the ozone depleted meant that more UV light would pass through. The area that had no ozone had high rates of cancer, for example, because more mutations would have occurred. That's your question. It comes from this dot point. Discuss the evidence for the mutagenic nature of radiation. So that was more or less these two combined. But I hope that was useful.
Thank you for watching.